Hey, and welcome back to Troubleshooting Pandas. We're in a new chapter, slicing through noisy data to find high-level groupings, and in this video we're going to talk about splitting and clustering seemingly random data points. Let's dive right in. We are in Jupyter Notebook, and we're currently on Chapter 4's Notebook. And so in this section today, we're going to talk about slicing through noisy data to find high-level groupings. So what does that mean? So when you're dealing with real-world data sets, maybe somebody comes to you and say, hey, do you want to help me with your data science skills and work on this data sets? It's not likely to be very well formatted and well cleaned, otherwise that person would also be a data scientist. So in this video, I'm going to talk to you about various tools you can use in Pandas and NumPy that helps you with cleaning that kind of data, grouping and aggregating them across different cross-sections. The first thing we do in Into is to import Pandas as PD and import NumPy as NP. And so to think about splitting and clustering seemingly random data points, we first create a data frame that we can work off of so we can create a good reference to how these things work. Here we're creating a data frame and we're assigning this to the variable df. In this data frame, we have two columns, A and B. A is simply a column of integers where it ranges from 0 to 7 as defined here. And in B, we define 8 random numbers created by random.renn. We're creating a multi-index that indexes this data frame, again using the bar foo kicks example. And the names for these levels of the index is x and y respectively. To give us a visual understanding of our data, I'm going to print it out. So here it is, df. And as you can see, there are two columns, 8 rows. Column A are integers and column B are random numbers. Let's look at how we can group and aggregate data. In 24, in the first line, what I'm going to do is to specify a group by using the values in x. To do that, I call df.groupBy and specify x as a string so that the system, Pandas, understands that we're grouping by values of x. Now grouped is a grouped data frame object, which also functions as an iterator where we can iterate through the groups and print out its name and group value. We do this specifically in lines 2 to 4. We create a for loop that takes the name and a group as a tuple from grouped and print out the name and display the group subsequently in the loop. So what is the expected behavior of this? We expect the groups to reflect different values of x, where x is bar, foo, and kicks. So we should have one table that has 4 rows that reflects the bar grouping, and then we should have 2 more tables with 2 rows each. If we look at what the for loop has printed as, we can see exactly that happening. We have the bar group, 4 rows, and we have 2 more groups of the right names and of the right row counts. In this second example in in25, I want to group the data frame with the values of 2 columns, not just 1. To do that, in in25, in the first line, I'm creating a new variable called grouped. And I'm assigning it the value of df.groupBy, again the groupBy function built into a data frame. And I'm feeding in a list of strings this time, denoting the levels which I want to group by with, and not just a string. So a list of strings and not just a string. In this for loop, I'm going to show the different groups, in which case you can notice some very different things happening. Number 1, you can see that the group names are now tuples instead of strings. And you can see that Pandas has correctly grouped all the subsequent groups into their respective tables. Instead of blindly iterating through grouped every time, if we want to get a specific group, we can also use the getGroup function to get a specific group. In in26, what I've done is, in the grouped variable, I call the function get_group and feed in the tuple that we've seen in the name. It goes without saying that if there isn't a tuple as a name, but a string as a name, then feed in the string instead. You can see that now grouped returns just the correct group that we're specifying, bar bar, you can see that this guy is the same as this guy. The other thing we can do is after we've grouped something, we can aggregate it using an aggregator function. How does this work? In 27, we do grouped.aggregate np.sum, which means that we use grouped as the groupings. We call the aggregate function, which shows pandas we need to aggregate values. And we provide a function from numpy, which is numpy.sum. And so pandas would do is actually sum up all of these individual items every time it sees a group. So for example here, in bar bar, if we just get the group, we see 2 values. Here, we only see 1 value, and it's the sum of the 2 columns respectively. So 0 plus 1 is 1, and 1.15 plus negative 0.39 is roughly 0.758. This is equivalent to calling the following function: df.groupBy, feeding in a list of x and y, and calling .sum. This is also an aggregator function. It's a shorthand for doing this above. I'd argue that this is faster to type and easier to understand than in 27. In the last example, I'm going to show you how to get summary statistics from a data frame. Here we call df, which is the data frame that we have created above. So this is df. And we want to group by x, which is the first level of the multi-level index. After we've grouped by x, we can aggregate this and feed in not one, but a list of 4 functions representing the 4 common summary statistics that statisticians like to use. It's mean, standard deviation, minimum, and maximum. And by feeding in these functions, we can see the aggregated statistics not just across the groupings of values of x, but also across the columns themselves, creating itself a multi-level index on a column level.